6th, which is a red day in Sweden, which means that I'm off work. Basically, I have nothing planned for tomorrow, and I thought that it's the perfect opportunity for me to catch up on some reading by attempting to do a 24-hour readathon. I actually am really in the mood to read. I have never done a 24-hour readathon before, but I'm very excited and also a bit nervous, but mostly excited because I'm currently reading some great books. I do have some books I need to catch up on. It's just a perfect opportunity. Let's do this. So what's the game plan? Well, tonight at around 11 p.m. I think I will start my 24-hour readathon, and it will go on for 24 hours, so until tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Basically, the goal within these 24 hours is to read as much as possible. That's the goal. So what books do I hope to read and get through during this readathon? Well, first off, I'm participating in a readathon for all of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere books. And it started now in January, and we're reading the first book, Elantris, in January and February. It's in a Discord. We get a schedule for how much to read each week, and for this first week of January we need to read 8 chapters, which is in 2-page 108. I'm currently on page 29, which means that I have about 80 pages that I need to read. So this will be my main goal. My first priority is to complete these 80 pages that I need to read for the read-along, and then I can focus on something else. The second book that I'm currently reading, which I hope to get further in tomorrow, is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. I always speak about this series. It's the third book in the Poppy War series. It's my first read of this one. I'm currently on page 122. I'm very excited, also a bit scared how it might end, but mostly I'm very excited and I just want to get further into this book. I don't think I'm able to finish it within the 24 hours. Considering that I will still sleep, I will still eat, I need to get through those 80 pages of the Elantris book. In total, this book is 617 pages long. So that means I have about 500 pages to go. I'm not sure if that's really possible. Of course it's possible, but I'm not sure if I will do that. A couple of other books that are on my January TBR are Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo and House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Considering that my reading plans for tomorrow for the readathon with Elantris and the Burning God are already quite fantasy heavy, I don't think that I will pick up either one of these books. I could, and perhaps I should, but I don't think I will. I will focus on the 2 fantasies I'm currently reading, and perhaps I might break up the fantasy with a contemporary instead. What contemporary should I pick for that? Well, I could either read Anxious People or Folk med ångest by Fredrik Backman, a Swedish author, finished second on the Goodreads Choice Awards for fiction, and it's a book that I have currently on loan as an ebook from my library. So I do need to read this one before the end of January. But in case I don't feel like reading Anxious People, I might instead pick up Less by Andrew Sean Greer. I've had this book for a while now. It's from one of my earliest hauls on this channel. It's a contemporary where we follow a gay man who basically is trying to escape his ex's wedding by traveling the world. That's a very quick synopsis for you. But the thing about this contemporary is that it's short, about 240 or 250 pages. So depending on how it goes with Elantris and with The Burning God, I might pick up this one. Or Anxious People. I'm undecided now. I want to do both. Basically the goal is just for me to read as much as possible within these 24 hours. It's gonna be a good time. I haven't done this before, but I'm super excited about it, so stay tuned. Hi friends, it's 23:35, so my 24-hour readathon started about half an hour ago. I've been hanging out on BookTube and just journaling, making spreads in my new and gorgeous life journal. Very happy about it. But it's time to get this ish started. So, first off, Brandon Sanderson, Elantris. Let's do this. 80 pages. Can I get that done before going to bed? I will try. 80 pages, about 80 minutes. Gonna be a late night. Let's do this.
Baby, it's you. Baby, it's true. Baby, not the worst thing that has happened, so you're still okay. Baby, something will come. Baby, it's you. Baby, it's true. Baby, it's you.
Hi, it's morning. What time is it? It's after 9, perhaps 9:15 or 9:30. I finished my part in Elantris. I finished chapter 8. I am enjoying it so far. As I said, I have not read anything by Brandon Sanderson before, so I have not read anything about the Cosmere. My initial idea was to read the Mistborn trilogy first, but then I stumbled upon this read-along for Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, and they're doing it in chronological order, so that's why I started with Elantris. As you might remember from my book haul, I had no clue what it was about, other than it might be a good prequel to Mistborn, basically. We're following 3 people whose names I'm probably not able to pronounce. We're following a prince and a princess who were about to get married. But one morning the prince woke up with some sort of plague that has been haunting the cities nearby Elantris. And because of this plague and that he falls ill with it, he's basically considered dead, or he's pronounced as dead to the rest of the kingdom, and he's thrown out into the city of Elantris, where everyone who has fallen ill with this plague, this sickness, they wind up there. This princess that he was supposed to marry, they had never met before, only corresponded through letters and magical phones. And she arrives to the city where the wedding was supposed to be and finds out that he is dead. But due to the contract in their wedding arrangements, she's then already considered to have married him. So she's married to someone she has never met. And then we're also following a priest who's from another kingdom, country, city of sort, and he arrives to the city of Arelon. And he arrives to the city of Arelon with the mission of trying to convert as many of its citizens as possible to his god, basically. He has some issues with it, but he decides to somehow use the city of Elantris to achieve his purpose. The city of Elantris is like the central point. This is where the prince ends up, and he's trying to figure the place out. The princess who was supposed to marry him is very fascinated with this place. It's quite an easy read. Or more that the way it's written makes it very easy to follow. There's just a lot. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of history, and basically a lot of world building. But the way it's written, the way you follow the characters, is not too complex, which I appreciate. I know that this was his debut, so I am also curious to see how his writing will develop throughout the read-along that I'm doing. First book completed for my 24-hour readathon. Well, not book, but what I needed to read in this book. Now I get to continue with Burning God and perhaps something else. So I'm excited about that.
Hi friends. I'm not sure if I'm in frame, but let's do this anyway. It's 11:10, so more than 12 hours of this readathon has already passed. So it's time for me to do some reading of The Burning God. And I just need to show you, I have this gorgeous, gorgeous bookmark that my friend made me for Christmas. I'll do a close-up for you guys.
So I've been getting distracted and I haven't been reading because I've been journaling. This is my new, or one of my new and gorgeous journals from Archer and Olive. I'm just gonna show you some of the spreads. This particular one is a B5 Neapolitan, and you will see why, because it has these different sort of types of papers. This is what I got distracted with. I'm taking this Goodreads challenge far too seriously. My main goal is to read every single winner, with a few exceptions, but I mean, while I'm at it, I might as well read as many as I can and want from each category, right? And make comparisons. I've been printing these covers with my foam memo printer. I know they're quite dark and such, and I'm still trying to figure that printer out. I think it looks quite cute. And I've also prepped these pages for more covers to be pasted. But first I just need to size each cover up in the Canva app. So this is fun. The only ones I've actually read though so far are Such a Fun Age, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and One to Watch, and In a Holidays. So it's just a random mix of books of the winners, mostly the second places, and then random books that I actually had an interest in. So it's not like the top 6 or the top 3 or top 1 or something like that. Yeah, it's just a random mix. But now I really need to get to reading. So I'm gonna jump on this Burning God now and see how it goes. There's this Hans moment right now in this book, and I'm pissed AF. I still need to keep on reading. I'm about to finish the first part. Let's just get into this freaking Hans moment. It's all a trap. God damn it. Never relax reading these books. Never relax. Don't trust them. Also, my mom brought me coffee and a cinnamon bun. Perfect timing. So, I'm on page 164, so I read 2 more chapters. There is something about these books. There's always so many twists and turns, and I feel like the options for what's right, they're always so endless somehow. The main character Rin, she always has some sort of plan, or is trying to have some sort of plan, and then there's always people showing up like, but have you thought about this, or but that won't work because of this. Like, every plan seems good in some way. So I'm always so surprised and impressed when someone shows up and is like, well, this won't work, you should do it this way instead. Because there's always so many strategies and different ways to approach this war. I just think that's so interesting, how there's appears to be so many different ways, and there's always someone who shows up who is smart and has an idea, and you're like, that sounds good. But then like 2 chapters later, the entire thing changed. I just think it's so smart. Every time there's a new revelation or there's a new idea, like, damn it, that's smart. Why haven't I thought about it? Because you're kind of like Rin, you think you have thought about everything until someone tells you like, but you haven't though. I love books that are smart and that makes me think and that just impresses me with how the characters are thinking. And I'm just so impressed by R.F. Kuang and how she can have all of these ideas and write them down. Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Despite like we're in the middle of a war, like a civil war, things are insane, there are rebellions and riots and liberation and there's so much going on. Like so much awfulness, but in all of this, it's still so human. There's so many human emotions and feelings. Rin is just going through so much, and last scene I read, she had such human thoughts and emotions and insecurities. Despite being this amazing shaman, she somehow is still insecure and has her own doubts about completely other things. And I'm enjoying that. I love that she's not all-knowing, all-cunning. I'm just really enjoying her as a character. She is very grey. She does discuss this herself, how basically in order to do what she does, she has to think a certain way. In order to participate in this war and be a proper soldier and a proper figure for the rebellion and revolution, she has to think and be and act a certain way. Otherwise, if she starts having doubts, if she starts viewing the enemy in a different way, that will all just fall apart and she will break down. So she has to be so strong and stick so much to those principles that she has set for herself in order to be able to do what she does. And I do think that it's very lonely for her to have to be that way and to be the only one who can do what she does and be that symbol that she is. I do like it a lot. I'm not sure if this book was in frame. It probably wasn't in frame. Very random note.
But like reading playlists, I found that I actually enjoy listening to some sort of music while I'm reading. My preferred genres are indie and alternative, but when I'm reading I've been listening a lot to the typical lo-fi hip-hop radio. It works great for me, but I am very interested in finding other reading playlists. So if you have any, either ones you made yourself or playlists that you usually listen to while reading, please let me know, because I would love to just listen to more music while I'm reading. It really does help. I have recently discovered the dark royalty core aesthetic, or like music genre, like dark core, dark royalty, dark academia, I guess, but I'm up for anything. I just had a bit of a break, caught up on some YouTube videos, and I saw that Daniel Green just posted his 2020 Fantasy Awards, so I watched that entire video as well. I think he's great. I always love listening to his opinion, and he makes me so excited about new and different fantasy series that I haven't really discovered before. He's basically the reason for like all my adult fantasies on my TBR shelf. He always does it in like a funny way as well, and hopefully I can do that someday too. Gonna continue with this chunker now. I'm starting part 2, and I'm on page 195. It doesn't have page numbers. And I said before that my goal might be to at least double the page number that I was on. I was on 122, so I might try and do like a 250 at least. I'm not sure then if I'm going to continue with Poppy War or if I should pick up another book. I should pick up another book, but I'm also really into this one, so I'm very undecided. I just finished another chapter in The Burning God. I'm on page 250, which means that I did achieve my goal of doubling the page number I was on. So I read like 130 pages today from this one. That's quite good actually. Plus what I read from Elantris. Part of me wants to continue with this one, and part of me wants to read something else. Perhaps a contemporary, like this one. Perhaps it's stupid of me to start a new book, since I do have a few that I'm currently reading. But yeah, might give this a go. In 2 hours, Sydney from See the Bookworm is gonna host some reading sprints, so I want to join that. So perhaps I should otherwise go upstairs and be a bit social with my family. Or I can just try and read this. Decisions. It's about 8 in the evening. I have 3 hours left, I guess, of my Readathon. I've actually picked up less. I'm on page 68. So almost finished 2 chapters. This is quite a short read, but first impression, for being a story about a man who will travel the world, and for being a book with less than 300 pages, it's quite slow paced. Unfortunately, I don't know, I'm not that into it. I had more hopes for it. I thought this book would be funny. Like, I wanted it to be laugh out loud funny with coincidences and awkwardness, but it's that sort of like boring awkwardness, I would say. I will finish the 2nd chapter, and then I think I'm gonna pick up The Burning God again. Maybe I will try to get halfway through The Burning God. That would be a good goal. I've been watching Sydney's reading sprint, so that's when I got through quite a good chunk of this one. I will probably return to reading sprints, but right now I feel like making myself a cup of coffee. Because why not? It's been a nice day, a good day, but I haven't like been reading every single hour. I went upstairs, I played some cards with my mom. I mean, like, it's been a chill day. And as I said, I've been playing around with my reading journal, I've been watching a lot of YouTube, hanging out on Twitter. It's basically like a vacation, this one free day in the middle of the week. Coffee, then finishing this chapter, then Burning God, and then we'll see. So, I have my coffee. I have my books. Let's do some reading. There's another reading sprint going on currently. I think there's 27 minutes left of that one or something. So I'm gonna jump on that one, get some shit done. Sorry if I keep switching how I'm filming. Some of the clips are filmed with my DSLR and some are simply filmed with my phone. Because my DSLR is not optimal for filming, because I can't really see what's on the screen. I don't have a flip screen and it doesn't have autofocus. Well, if I'm using my phone, I can simply use the selfie camera and I see perfectly. So that's why I keep switching around. I'm gonna put this aside because I don't want to spill. Let's read. hours of my readathon was sort of a fail because I got majorly distracted by the news about the things that happened in the States on the 6th. So because of that I didn't do any reading the final 2 hours of the readathon, but what I did instead was I simply went to bed and did some more reading before falling asleep. But I thought that I should catch up on what I read, what I completed, how many pages I read, and my opinions about the books that I read. I started out this readathon reading Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, and I read a total of 80 pages in this one because I had my goal of reaching chapter 9 or completing chapter 8 and reach page 108. I did complete that. In this book we're following 3 characters. We're following a prince, a princess and a priest. The story is kind of about Elantris, which is a city that used to thrive 10 years ago. It was so magical and amazing, but then something happened and now it's just a shithole. Basically everyone that falls ill with this sort of like plague or curse or yeah, whatever, they are thrown into this city of Elantris. Elantris is the mystery, that city. What went wrong? What's going on? Why are everyone in there acting strange? I'm actually enjoying this much more than I thought I would. This is Brandon Sanderson's debut novel and he has gained a lot of praise for it, although I think people usually prefer his Mistborn trilogy that follows this book. I've heard that some of the critique is that this might be a bit slower than his usual writing nowadays, but I'm enjoying it. I like that we're reading from 3 different perspectives, so it's like every 3rd chapter. It's good, I'm happy about it. Following that one, I continued reading The Burning God, the 3rd book in the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. And as you know, I love this series. I think it's amazing, I think it's wonderful. So well written, so exciting, keeps me guessing. It's just so smart, and I never thought that I would fall for like a military political sort of fantasy, and I completely have. I love the strategy talk. I need to read more military fantasy apparently, because this is something else. I started out on page 122, I believe. I was about to start chapter 7, and first my goal was to just double that page number to reach 240, which I did, but then I thought that might as well try and reach 300 and read half of the book. So I finished reading when I reached page 309. So yes, I'm about to start chapter 18 and I'm like, I guess 49% through the book. I just keep praising it. I have no bad things to say. I love this book. It's awful, but I love it so much. So I read Elantris and then I read The Burning God. Really enjoying both of them. I could have kept on going with The Burning God, but I wanted to get a bit of variety in this vlog, so I decided to pick up Less by Andrew Sean Greer. This is a contemporary book. We're following a man named Andrew, who is a homosexual man in his 50s. He's a writer who's kinda, I wouldn't say struggling, but it's not going that well for him at the moment. He's not really being published anymore. He finds out that his ex-boyfriend is getting married. And he doesn't want to go to the wedding, but he also just don't want to say no to the invitation and stay at home and like eat chips in front of the TV or something. So what he does is that, since he still is like a known writer in some ways, he does get some like proposals for different events and invitations to festivals and gatherings in his email. So what he does is that he accepts every single weird invitation and basically plans this world tour of himself. He says yes to all of these different invitations, which will take him to New York, and oh no. And says yes to all of these invitations that will take him all over the world. He will go to New York and then Mexico and then Italy, France, India. Quite a fun concept, right? I have reached page 78. So I read, I guess, 77 pages then. I expected this one to be quite funny, like, not quite funny, like really fun actually. I wanted it to be laugh out loud funny and like snorting while reading. Those were my expectations for this one. It hasn't been as funny as I had hoped for it to be. I wanted it to be this like kind of awkward, embarrassing, you know, where everything goes wrong and it's kind of hilarious. That's kind of what I wanted for this story. It's not what I'm getting. For being a book about a man who's traveling the world in less than 300 pages, it's quite slow paced. and boring. I mean, I would understand if it was like 800 or 900 pages, but for like 260 pages, there should be some like tempo and things going on. And yeah, of course, like he's already to his second country where I'm at, but there's nothing that really happens. All he does is that he thinks back to when he was younger and when he dated that poet and when he met that person. It's not really about the present at all. I guess that's the thing, that he kind of thinks back to his life choices and such. I'm hoping that it will pick up and become funnier as I go on. If I compare this to A Little Life, which I recently read, A Little Life is also a story that's told a lot through memories and flashbacks and a lot of text and a lot of descriptions. And I was never once bored or uninterested. Somehow, Yanagihara, the writer, she kept me there in the moment and she held my interest. Here, I don't really care. And maybe it's because of the characters, maybe it's because of the writing. I'm not sure yet. Not what I had hoped for it to be, unfortunately. But definitely an interesting concept, cool idea. I'm just hoping that it will get better as I read. So this is my readathon pile, I guess. In total, I read 337 pages, and I'm quite pleased with that. I have tried to track how many pages I read a day before. I think I expected the number to be higher, like perhaps around the 400 or 500s. But if you think about it, if you were to read about 350 pages a day, every day for a month, that's over 10,000 pages, and that's quite a lot. So if you put it in that perspective, it does make sense. I don't know why I really expected it to be higher. It was a great motivator for me to read more, and I'm hoping to do it again soon. I obviously didn't get to Shadow and Bone or House of First and Blood or Anxious People, which is completely fine. That's that for my 24-hour readathon. I hope you enjoyed. I really enjoyed this. Both the filming and using my new lens and trying to figure out new angles like this one, but also things just such as the books I read and trying to sprint, planning my day around reading. That was really fun. I'm very happy about it. Thank you so much for watching and take care. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!
You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before.
Basically the goal within these 24 hours, I don't know, it's been an... Where I went upstairs, I played some cards.